There are two possible consequences of steering errors on curves. One, diverting over the center line, which can result in a head-on collision with an oncoming vehicle, or two, diverting off the roadway, possibly hitting pedestrians, bicyclists, or other objects. The errors which are shown in this following video are the result of either delayed or insufficient steering input at either the curve entrance or the curve exit. Put another way, the driver either starts the steering movement too late or does not turn the steering wheel enough to safely complete the curve. Although this task is virtually automatic for competent and experienced drivers, that is not always the case with inexperienced drivers. Let's first take a look at an error that happens on the entrance to a curve. Here is the proper steering initiation point, where the driver needs to start turning to the right in order to maintain the proper travel path through the curve. This is the delayed steering initiation point, where some inexperienced drivers will wait before turning the wheel. Now, it may not seem at this speed like this small delay in turning would cause a problem. However, the higher the speed that the vehicle enters the curve and the later the steering is delayed, the greater the chance of crossing the center line. Here, the center line is being crossed, and without corrective action, the vehicle can cross the center line and, in this case, result in a head-on collision with the van. Now let's look at a steering error at the curve exit. Here is the proper steering recovery point where, in order to avoid crossing the center line and hold the correct travel path, the driver, in this case, needs to start steering back to the right. Here's the delayed steering recovery point, where many inexperienced drivers will delay their recovery, with the result of the vehicle crossing the center line in this case. In the case of inexperienced drivers, there's two principal causes of these errors. The first is insufficient advanced contemplation of the curve. In other words, the driver is not looking far enough ahead and thinking far enough ahead to plan for a proper curve entrance. Here, the curve entrance should be within the driver's central field of visual focus in order to adequately plan and contemplate the entrance to the curve. However, the visual attention of many inexperienced drivers would be focused here, directly in front of the vehicle. This creates a problem because the curve, because it's outside of the area of central visual attention, is not sufficiently contemplated enough in advance for the driver to enter it properly. The second cause is when the driver attempts to enter the curve at too high of a speed, and this speed can be above the driver's ability to maintain the proper travel path or, in many cases, the vehicle's ability. This requires some explanation. In many cases, a curve that could be taken at a certain speed by a competent and experienced driver, an inexperienced driver would have difficulty with. And another issue is that many times the inexperienced driver, if their speed is too high, they won't realize their speed is excessive until they're in the curve, at which point it's too late to correct the problem. At this approach speed, the driver will be able to maintain the proper travel path through the curve. At this speed, the proper travel path cannot be maintained.